Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'd like to talk about transitions, smooth, logical progression of thought from one sentence to another sentence, which are very important in coherence of a paragraph. As you recall, the two main topics of this unit is unity and coherence of paragraphs. So I thought I'd give you first some examples of how we can make our writing flow better or make it more coherent by using transitions and transitional words and phrases, and then talk more about the different types of transitional words and phrases. So here's some examples of sentences that could use some transitional words and phrases. So here's one. A water main downtown broke this morning. I found this on the internet. A water main downtown, a downtown's water main is I think what they're trying to say. A water main, which is a big pipe here, that's what a main water pipe. A water main downtown broke this morning. Several businesses had no water for hours. So if you notice over here, these two sentences are related, right? The water main broke, and therefore the businesses did not have any water for hours. Correct? The two sentences are related. A water main downtown broke this morning. Period. Several businesses had no water for hours. Now, maybe they did not have water for hours because the streets were closed or something like that. But however, these two sentences might be better written if they were like this. A water main downtown broke this morning, so several businesses had no water for hours. See, this is a transitional word. It takes this thought, okay, the fact that the water main broke, and for this reason, therefore, so several businesses had no water for hours. So this flows much better than these two sentences separately like that. Here's another example. There are 10 examples. Most Americans are primarily concerned about AIDS as it exists in the United States, in the US. It should be remembered that it is now nearly a worldwide disease. So these are two sentences. Most Americans are primarily concerned about AIDS as it exists in the US. It should be remembered that it is now a nearly worldwide disease. Now, the person who wrote this, they're trying to say that these two are concerned. They're telling Americans that, and although you are concerned about this disease in your own country, you have to also remember that it's a worldwide thing. It's not just a United States problem. So the thoughts are there. They're both correct thoughts. The sentences might be written properly grammatically, but the thoughts are a little disjointed. Here's one thought, and then there's a separate thought, kind of not linked to each other. So it might be better written as this. Even though most Americans are primarily concerned about AIDS as it exists in the US, it should be remembered that it is now nearly a worldwide disease. See, now the two thoughts are connected, they're linked, and we can see how the two thoughts are linked. This is what the author intended to say. It's just that they couldn't quite put it in the words, right? So they put it in two sentences. Even though most Americans are primarily concerned about AIDS as it exists in the United States, it should be remembered that it is now nearly a worldwide disease. I hope you see how that flows better. Here's another example. Larry will probably be a late bloomer socially. His older brothers were late bloomers. Okay. Now, what they're trying to say here is Larry will probably be a late bloomer socially because all of his brothers were late bloomers. He probably followed in their footsteps, right? That's what they're trying to say. But these two are separate sentences. They're like not connected. So it might be better written as follows. Larry will probably be a late bloomer socially, just like his older brothers. So this is a transition phrase. He will be a late bloomer, okay, just like his older brothers, okay? So there's a smooth transition of thought. Now these two are disconnected sentences, and the reader has to use some imagination, see? So the reader has to use some imagination over here to connect these two thoughts together. Over here, they're perfectly connected together. There's no room for error. Okay, this one. There are ways you can make boring tasks more pleasant. Some people listen to books during their long commute to work. So, there are ways to make your boring tasks more pleasant. Some people listen to books during their long commute together. So this is an example of how a person can make a boring task better, right? So, let's just say it. There are ways you can make boring tasks more pleasant. For instance, some people listen to books during the long commute to work. Now, in this case, notice there were two sentences. This is one sentence, and this is another sentence. And then we ended up with two sentences still. We didn't combine them. We just added a transition phrase, right? So it flows better. In the previous one, okay, we combined the two sentences so it flows better, okay? You don't have to combine them. Most of the time, you're actually just adding transitional words or phrases to make it flow better, okay? So, there are ways you can make boring tasks more pleasant. For instance, some people listen to books during their long commute to work. The checkout clerk forced a six-pack of cola into the bottom of the bag, tearing it. She smiled and said, I worked out before I work. I work out before I work, I want to say. So, the checkout clerk forced a six-pack of cola into the bottom of the bag, tearing it. She smiled and said, I worked out before I work. Now, the checkout clerk, look at this. The checkout clerk forced a six-pack of cola into the bottom of the bag, tearing it. Then, see now it says, then she smiled and said, I work out before I work. Okay, we corrected the spelling mistake here. I work out before I work. See, now this is a transition word. This happened first, and then she said this. Okay, so it's smooth. They're both correct, but this one flows better, right? She did this, and then she said that. Okay. This is another example. Science fiction writer Arthur C. Clarke correctly predicted that satellites would be used for communication. In 1947, he correctly predicted that 1959 would be the year the first rocket to the moon would be launched. Now, these are seemingly two different thoughts altogether. First, we're saying that he correctly predicted satellites would be used for communication. And then in 1947, he's predicting that the year that rockets would be launched to the moon. So they don't flow together. We're talking about the same person, and we even are talking about predictions. We're even talking about his predictions. But something is missing, right? So how are these two thoughts related? How is his predicting satellites to be used for communication, and how is rockets going to the moon, and how are they linked? Now, look at this. Science fiction writer Arthur C. Clarke correctly predicted that satellites would be used for communication. Moreover, in 1947, he correctly predicted that 1959 would be the year the first rockets to the moon would be launched. This, moreover, means he's so good at predicting that he predicted the satellites, okay, and he also predicted the rockets. So these two sentences are related because the topic is prediction abilities. He predicted the satellites and he predicted the rockets. So the two thoughts are communicated in that. So you can connect the two thoughts as moreover, he did this and he did that. Now, moreover is not the only potential transition word that you can use. You can say furthermore, okay, on top of that, in addition to that, okay, you can say it in many different ways. There are many options for transition words, as we would say. Now, here's another one. Some people in New Jersey built their houses very close to the shoreline. they have had to spend a lot of money trying to protect their property from the sea. There's nothing wrong with the way this is written, okay? So some people built their house very close to the shoreline. They have had to spend a lot of money trying to protect their property. But the two are related. Why did they spend all of this money? They spent all of this money because they built their house too close to the shoreline, right? So now, this is rephrased. Some people in New Jersey built their houses very close to the shoreline. Consequently, because of this, they have had to spend a lot of money trying to protect their property from the sea. Now, the two thoughts, they flow much better. They did this, because of this, this happened. Okay, it's another transition. It links to two sentences. Remember, in a paragraph, in essays, the unity is important, and so is linking the thoughts in a very logical manner, making the text coherent, and that's what these transition words allow you to do. It makes the paragraph, makes the essay flow. Running can make people more aware of their physical surroundings, the scent of honeysuckle, or the changing moods of the trees. Now, what they want to say here is, okay, running can make people more aware of their physical surroundings, such as, or for example, right, such as the scent of honeysuckle or the changing moods of the trees. This is honeysuckle tree blooms. So this is again another transition phrase linking the two thoughts. I think this will be the last one or so. Residents complain bitterly about potholes in the streets and sloppy trash pickup. So they're complaining about potholes and they're complaining about sloppy trash pickup. These same people resist paying higher taxes for the improvement of their services. So they're complaining, okay, about different things, but they're resisting taxes. Now, what do they have to do? What do taxes have to do with complaining, right? Well, they would have to pay more taxes to have a better service. So what the author wants to say is this: residents complain bitterly about potholes in the streets and sloppy trash pickup, yet these same people resist paying higher taxes for the improvement of these services. They do this, but they don't want to pay higher taxes, right? Yet they resist. Telephone interviewing allows for a large number of responses in a short time at a relatively low cost. The method permits interviewers to reach respondents at specific time of day. Interviewers. So, telephone interviewing allows for a large number of responses in a short period of time, and at relatively low cost. The method permits interviewers to reach respondents at specific time of the day. Well, look at this. Telephone interviewing allows for a large number of responses in a short time and at relatively low cost. Further, see, this is another benefit, or moreover, the method permits interviewers to reach respondents at specific time of the day. You can catch them in the morning, they're not available in the evening, you can catch them in the afternoon or in the evening, right? So this is additional benefit. This is adding to the information that's given in the first sentence. Now the two thoughts are connected. Now these are some examples of transition words or phrases, okay, that help the paragraphs flow, and they create cohesion in the paragraph. And after a brief pause, inshallah, we'll go on and talk about specific types of transitions. Until then, as-salatu was-salamu ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum.